Hi, I am Caroline Chang, host and producer of Awake to Oneness Radio. I launched a new series about 2 months, 2 or 3 months ago. The title of the series is Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? And today I am having a conversation with Ollie. Ollie and we met through IONS. I actually was a featured speaker this year for
Mhm.
IONS, which IONS stands for International Association of Near-Death Studies. So I have a lot about that on the YouTube channel, so you can check that out. But that's how I met Ali through IONS. I meet with a sharing group, and Ali is a member of that group. And we got into a conversation online, and we was like, let's take that conversation onto the show. So, Ali, welcome to Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? Please share a little bit with our listeners of who you are.
Well, thank you for having me here today. And yes, we did meet at the Hawaiian Islands. I frequently do meditations there, starting meditations to get things going. And it's part of my life path is to be in this meditational state, no matter what happens in the world and no matter what's happening around us in our immediate environment. Uh, I was born in Ukraine. I come from an African descent from Tanzania. My father is from Tanzania, and I've been a refugee for over 7 years in Germany and then United States.
Okay.
And I'm a U.S. citizen now, and I have a foundation to help children in Tanzania with education and water. So I go to remote places and spend a lot of time there to bring water and computers. I have a technical background, used to work for Apple and Hitachi, and now I take all that knowledge and bring to my ancestral homeland, which I discovered 20 years later after finding my father.
Mhm.
So this is a little introduction.
Wow, you just said a lot that I didn't even know, which is great. Awesome. Awesome. Very, very good. I know you and we were what made me say we really need to get on camera and do this show is we were talking about censorship. You and we are
Mm,
also Facebook friends, and I've been censored many times off of YouTube. Several of my videos were taken down off of YouTube. That's why I had to create a backup channel with BitChute. So those videos that were
mm,
removed from YouTube, I placed up on BitChute, and then I just recently started a Rumble channel. Now, it's interesting because as far as social media, I have the YouTube, I have the Facebook, I have Instagram, and Twitter. And at first it was I was being censored on YouTube. And then I figured out how to get around
mhm.
the YouTube censors. Now that I have a backup channel that I can upload my whole video to, I just put acceptable content on YouTube and
Mm,
direct people to BitChute or Rumble. So I got a workaround. But Facebook, now I didn't start having issues with Facebook until maybe a year after
mhm.
YouTube, where Facebook, and the interesting thing with Facebook, they don't take down the post. They say violated community
Yes.
service because everything I post is 100% factual information that can be proven.
Mhm,
People can actually, and I tell people, do your own homework, look it up. So what I presented last week, because I'm still in quote unquote Facebook jail, but what I presented was a video showing what the Parliament, was the European Parliament, a Pfizer executive was testifying in European Parliament, and I showed her response to a question, and also there was a case in Utah that a ruling had come in. So
mhm,
in that video clip, I had put the judge's ruling on a case in Utah,
hmm
and the Pfizer executive's response to a question in European Parliament. Nothing of the, nothing I posted was against quote unquote community guidelines. If anything, I was just being a journalist and reporting the facts. But I'm
mm,
still in Facebook jail. So you and I, we started conversating about, censorship. So I really want to dive into censorship in this conversation. You had told me about your Apple background. I thought you also meant you had Google, somewhat of a Google background, and you
yes,
understand, yeah, you understand the algorithms. And I realized that it wasn't the video that I had posted that flagged me as misinformation. It was my words, which still my words were 100% factual words, but it was my
yes,
words that got me flagged on Facebook and thrown into
yes,
Facebook jail. So
yes,
what I like from your more expertise, um, technical background with Apple and Google, can you explain to our audience how we get trapped in this censorship that truly is censoring truth? So,
yes, absolutely, absolutely. I my career actually, I want to say my uh more advanced tech career started actually in working in censorship.
mm,
I after working for Hitachi, my task was to I I went to Apple, and at Apple I was hired to do an app store review. So every app people have on their phones, I review them from the inside. I have seen over 200,000 apps, and the goal was to censor whoever goes on the App Store and whoever doesn't go to the App Store. And
okay.
for that, obviously, there was a lot of egregious apps. There was a lot of apps that were political that you censor. And also at the time, there was a policy. So this is now going back to 2014,
Okay.
when we were censoring Bitcoin apps. So anything that had to do with Bitcoin was not allowed on the App Store. So this is 2013, 14. Later, it changed. I
Okay.
did see the change, but they viewed it as something unsafe. And so this is why it was pretty much impossible to have a Bitcoin app. So now, learning from this, I did get into Google local guides.
Hmm.
So which means I was helping on improving Google Maps
Okay.
around the world, marking places that are missing and stuff like that. And I slowly started diving into the algorithmic works, because I'll post places and I see how Google will trust me. The more I post, the more Google whitelists me for posting, so I can close a business without even Google verifying because they've seen my track record, or open a business within a day, or write a review that will send business to be more visible.
Hmm.
So, and this is where I started diving into the knowledge of how the algorithms work. And I
Okay.
experienced it myself recently during 2020 lockdowns.
Okay.
This is when I started tying on Instagram. I started tying the the trails in the sky with fifth generation towers, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? And with the COVID itself, how
Right.
it's all interlinked into AI, because the goal is to push people into AI and databases. And the COVID thing is actually, it's a certificate of identity.
Okay.
If you decipher it letter by letter, I can uh,
Yes.
later explain how it works.
Yeah,
But
no,
it basically,
that
yes,
sounds very plausible. Yes.
yes. And so the and when I started posting more things about it on Instagram, I noticed how, especially just on stories, there were no posts, just on stories, and putting specific hashtags. And first, I lost my, I got shadow banned. Shadow ban is quite common people just don't see your stories or they don't see your posts. You ask people, they don't see your stories at all. They're like, oh, I have to look for you specifically to find your story because it doesn't show up on my feed.
Right.
So, and then eventually I just lost my account. I lost
Mm.
my account after one of the posts. I did, yeah, it was kind of controversial because I was also at the time I was involved with Black Lives Matter at the Burning Man,
Right.
and I left the organization after the Burning Man. I saw, I had to see it from the inside. I had
Yes.
to see when, after you see that the money comes from Soros foundations and Melinda and Gates foundations, it does open your eyes. And plus, it's all about the disruption. So, and but on their end, their social media is always promoted. So you
Hmm.
see how their posts, whatever they're posting, gets always more likes. It's as if the Instagram machine, the Facebook algorithm machines
Hmm.
promote those hashtags
Right.
to the top. And so
Right.
people have this illusion as if this is what is trending.
Mm.
Uh, in fact, in reality, it's not trending. They're actually controlling what is
What's
trending.
trending?
And we will talk
Exactly.
today about the news that are not trending, but are out there. And it has to do with the same algorithms and how the companies promote it. So, long story short, when I lost my access to Instagram, it was a straight up violation, but there was no explanation. So, when you reach out to them, there is no way to restore anything. And people on my friends' ends, they see as account is not found. And there was no trace of any of my posts, even though the post I made on somebody's wall,
Right.
gone. So imagine um from 2013 until now, I don't know, like it's until 2020, so 7 years, it's
Right.
completely erased. And
Right.
that's how they do it. They just show you their power. They show you that you're just a number, you're just an imprint within our system. So in our system, we have fact checkers. You were speaking about the facts.
Right.
Well, we have our own facts, our own truths that we want to put out there, but they have a system of fact checking that has specifically been curated to accept certain things or not.
Right.
I witnessed the Indian news channel YN been taken down after they mentioned something about Russia and Turkey, and they had 5 million subscribers, and
Mm-hmm.
they fought back with Indian government was involved, and YouTube did restore them a week later.
Okay.
So because they were too big and their national channel,
Right.
but YouTube also it shows you how powerful Google is, that they don't
Yes.
care how big of organization you are. You're
Right.
still broadcasting on their platform, so therefore you have to behave.
Right. You have to, whatever the official line is, which is
Yeah,
basically tyranny, because you can
yeah,
only say the official government line. And that's
yes.
that's the definition of tyranny. And you were saying because even the not the governor, the Surgeon General of Florida recently, I think it was Twitter or I can't remember, either Twitter or Instagram. Actually, this is the Surgeon General of
Hmm.
Florida. He posted his recommendation as a medical doctor, as a medical professional, and as the top medical professional in the state of Florida. His recommendation, and that was actually taken down. But like you said, like what
Hmm.
happened with India,
Hmm.
there was so much backlash.
Yes,
They had to reinstate it. They had to reinstate the post. So yes,
they do.
but you got, unless you have, like you said, like the country of India or the Surgeon General of Florida, who have tons of support and they are credible. Okay.
Yes,
Then maybe, but like little people like me and you,
yes,
we're speaking truth. And no matter how much we say to these platforms, because every time I've been censored, I've appealed. and it goes absolutely nowhere. And I know
Yes.
facts after facts after facts have been taken down, but I don't have the government, behind me, like Indian government, or the state of Florida behind me, like these big people. Which is great that some people that have been censored have been reinstated because of their status, which is great.
I
But
yeah, I will add I want to add to that that when YouTube and whether YouTube or Twitter decides to reinstate somebody, um, I want to say that they do it not because of the fear or backlash, because they know the organization will comply with the news. So it means, I mean, that Indian channel, the government Indian channel, will not talk about anything that is controversial, nowhere near the subjects that we will talk about.
right,
They won't be denying any lockdowns or anything, COVID related or shots related. They won't be going anywhere near this.
right,
They just mentioned something that is maybe semi-controversial.
right.
And so now they're like, okay, we know how to comply and we'll be fine. And I do believe that YouTube and Google, they kind of send you a warning. They censor you, and then you're like, you have to adjust your behavior because they can really they have so much power. And I do feel like politicians do follow the corporate these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of people that have been speaking out for a long time whose channels in early 20 or mid 2020 was just, or well, spring of 2020 was just pulled like the high
Yeah.
wire. There, I mean,
Yeah.
with no warning. No warning. Matter of fact, I can tell you, I was actually watching the high wire when they did that.
Oh, wow.
I was watching the high wire, and it's like, then all of a sudden, you know how it gets kind of stuck or something. So it seemed like the video was, I was watching the high wire on YouTube, and all of a sudden it seemed like it got stuck. So because
Mm,
I refreshed the page, and when I refreshed the page, the complete channel was gone. I mean, with
wow.
no, and even Dell's like, he's like, what? They got taken, that their entire channel was taken down with zero warning. Same thing with David Icke, zero
Yes,
warning. He never, he
it's
never
crazy.
even,
Yes, I was watching Ike when he got pulled. It's great. Uh-huh.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, so they're warning. They don't warn if someone as popular as David Icke or the High Wire, they're like, they know millions of people are watching this. They're like, okay, no, 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 we're just taking it down.
Yeah.
No matter how much truth, because so much they love to use the term conspiracy theory, which the
Yes.
term, I like to tell people where the term conspiracy theory came from. It was created by the FBI, CIA, I think the CIA, in
Mm,
1964, right
mhm.
after the Kennedy's assassination. That's when
Mm.
that term was created by the CIA. So they want you to think, okay, that's a conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat, they're cuckoo, okay, right? But all
Mhm.
of the quote unquote conspiracy theories have come to pass. So when they come to pass, what do you say? It's like, I thought that was just a conspiracy theory, but now it's fact, okay?
Conspiracy fact.
Yeah, now it's a conspiracy fact, right? And the word conspiracy just means more than one person conspiring to do
To
something
do
not
it.
good, you know? So it's like really, 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 really. But yeah, I am so happy because so many people are waking up to the truth. Here we are, almost, we're going into March, will be 3 years of this, what I call craziness. And I've been awake since day one. And I was told I have a very strong connection to my higher self. I spend a lot of time in meditation, like you mentioned. Meditation to me is just being grounded in this now moment. and
Mm.
appreciating and loving this now moment, because I know every now moment is a blessing. So meditation can take many forms, but I do spend as much time in nature and meditating, and I have a very strong connection to my higher self. My higher self told me over 21 years ago, September of 2001, right after 9/11. My high,
Mm.
and I was not awake to any of this stuff. Okay, I was like completely asleep. But my higher self said, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on. And that was in
Wow.
September of 2020, September of '01. And I didn't know why, but I was obedient because I always, like I said, since I was a child, I knew when higher self was talking to me. I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but I'm gonna be obedient. And I did. I have not watched mainstream news for over 21 years. Thank you. I'm so happy. Now I know why. Why, the whole low vibration, whole trying to put you in a state of fear, and much, maybe now I want to say 90% or more of the information is untrue. So
Hmm.
I was very thankful that I was obedient to that instruction. But I say all that to say is that now, like since 2020, really, I mean, I know, like you were saying, this censorship really started before 2020. But I really only started noticing it in 2020 because I've had my show now going on 8 years. And
Mm.
my show is all about spirituality and awakening to the truth of who we are from scientific,
Hmm.
spiritual, and ancient wisdom perspective. And I've never had issues with censorship, but actually, I've had two shows that were just about spirituality. But I
Hmm.
guess it's the guest that I had David Icke, and my show with David Icke was just about spirituality. That
Wow.
got censored, and also
Oh,
with Simon Parks. And all we talked
wow.
about was consciousness,
Mhm.
connecting consciously.
Mhm.
And those two shows, matter of fact, my show with Simon Park got censored within a week. Now, my show with David Icke actually was almost on YouTube for almost a year before they pulled it down. But it was like, are you kidding me? We're not even talking about any of the conspiracy stuff. We're talking about consciousness, consciously awakened, and you actually censored those shows? Are you kidding me? So they're totally very desperate. And like you said, it's not I'm sure I'm shadow banned. I'm sure of it.
Yes,
I'm sure
yes.
people have to really search for me to find my stuff. But I don't let it worry me. Oh, because of what I was saying with my higher self. My higher self gave me direct knowledge in March of 2020 that
Mm.
humanity's great awakening has begun. And
Yes.
since I got that message almost over 2.5 years ago, going on 3 years ago, I have been in a state of bliss. I have been
Mm.
on top of the world. I see what's going on in what I call the 3D
Mhm.
matrix, but I
Mhm.
don't focus my attention. I send it love and light. Everything going on in the 3D matrix, I am constantly sending it love and light to try to raise the frequency of the matrix, of the 3D matrix. But I
Mm.
have planted myself squarely in 5D. And 5D is not a place, it's a vibration.
Yes.
When you raise your vibration to love, unconditional love and light, and you stay there, you're in 5D.
Yes.
So, yes.
I absolutely resonate with you because it's we're going to, there is a difference between going to dimension or, density,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
So when, the soul passes, then yes, there is 4D, 5D. And here we can really do it here, we can
Yes.
raise it while being here just by our behavior, just
Yes.
by our just being as truthful to your own self, as much as you can when you behave as your own authentic self in any situations. And when you observe yourself from the side, how do you behave? How do you interact? What is it that you project to the space? Are you in a rush, or are you letting anyone control your emotions? You know, it's a very self-reflective process, and it's really, I call it just self-reflection throughout the day, throughout
Right.
life.
Yeah.
When more people do that, the awakening is inevitable, really.
Yes, 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 yes. And it is actually, it is the light has already won. That's the other thing. I am so grounded in science. Science
Mm,
was the key to my awakening. And
mm,
high frequency, the light frequency, love frequency is so much more powerful than the low vibration of fear and hate and anger and all those low, heavy, dense frequencies.
mm-hmm,
There's
mm-hmm.
they're not they're not they have no power. What has
Maybe,
power is the love, is the peace. That is
yeah.
so much more powerful. I want to say 10,000 times more powerful, if not more. And that has been actually proven scientifically. So
Mm-hmm,
when you stay in that high frequency, you know the low frequency can't touch you. It's science. It's nothing of a lower frequency can touch you if you're of a high frequency. So I mean, here it is. We're over 2.5 years into this madness. I've never worn a mask. I get nothing. I go into a store. I used to wear a badge of freedom. My badge of freedom
mm,
used to say, because of health reasons, I can't wear a mask. Now,
mm,
every word of that is true. I'm completely 100% healthy and I
yeah.
want to stay that way. So I didn't say because of medical reasons. First of all, I don't do Western medicine. I haven't been to a Western medicine allopathic doctor since 98. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm completely
Wow.
holistic. I know that anything in nature, if not wood, if anything ails me, I can find something in nature to cure that ailment, but I'm completely holistic. So and I got this idea from a store manager when it was the middle of April 2020,
Mm-hmm,
and I live in the state of Pennsylvania. You're
mm-hmm,
in the commie California.
mm,
New York and California commie. But
yeah.
I thank goodness I live in the mountains. I live in a very kind of rural area in the woods and mountains near lakes and trees.
Mm,
And I was brought here 30 years ago. I was guided here by my higher self 30 years ago. So, but I called up where I do my local grocery shopping. As soon as they made this mass mandate, middle April of 2020 here in Pennsylvania, I'm like, there's no way I'm not putting on a mask. So I called up the local store and I talked to the manager, and he said, if for health reasons, if you can't wear a mask, you don't have to wear one. And I'm like, okay, he gave me that idea. So I made a badge. So I didn't have to keep telling people if people keep coming. I didn't have people coming up to me, well, why aren't you wearing a mask? Why aren't you? I didn't need that. I created my badge of freedom that said, for health reasons, I cannot wear a mask. And then if
mm,
somebody, occasionally people will not see it and will say something, I wouldn't even say a word. I just hold it up to their face so they can read it and keep it
mm,
moving. But I'm telling you, I had no issues with
yeah.
anybody wearing that. Not only was my badge of freedom, I call it, but also I surrounded myself. My energy was a love and
Mm,
light. So because of that badge, and I'm short. I'm only 5'2". So, and it's
mm,
always whenever I'm in the grocery store, whatever I want is on the top shelf. And I can't reach it. So people with masks would come running up to me when I'm trying to reach something. Oh, do you need help? And because okay, maybe they thought something was wrong with me because I had this badge on, I couldn't wear a mask. So they're like,
mhm,
oh, so I had the opposite response. Nobody ever yelled at me and, oh, you're horrible for not wearing. Never got any of that. I
mm,
got more love and light during that time than any other time in my life. Because we're like, oh, let me help you.
so
I'll help you
beautiful.
get this. Oh, you need my help. That's all I got. That's all I got. I was
Wow.
sending out love and light. All I got is love and light. And I never for 1 second gave away my sovereignty. My we're born sovereign. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to share my perspective from there. It's interesting. During that period, I was spending time in Tanzania.
Mm,
And so imagine as the whole world went into the lockdown, the all 100 something countries, 160, 170, or 198, are in a lockdown. And one country was open without anything, you
mm-hmm.
know, Tanzania, where, where my father and my grandfather is from. So I
Right.
fly there to do my mission, and the government of Tanzania, the president of Tanzania, has been so heavily pressed by the WHO, by I don't know,
AIDS.
IMF, International Monetary Aid. Yes, like they started pushing all of it, and they sent him money to buy to buy these syringes, to buy all these COVID related tools to inoculate people. And he just took the money and he spent the money on the roads,
Mm,
to rebuild the roads. So, and then because people in Africa, in Tanzania, they were confused about the whole situation because no one felt anything really, it's just if someone has a flu, they treat it as normal flu. There was
right.
no such feeling as if people are massively dying. But
Right.
in contrast, what we saw in the news, like people are on, uh, uh, have to breathing machines and all this stuff.
Right. Right.
So, and then they developed this natural remedy. It's called kidawa. So it's ginger, pepper, I think cardamom, and yeah, it's just like a shot. Let's say,
Right.
well, just drink the shot. So throughout all this time, we were just drinking this these shots. And what happened is there was a final warning from the globalists to the president of Tanzania to lock down the country. He
Mm-hmm.
denied, and 3 weeks later, he disappeared. So
Mm,
3 weeks later, the president of Tanzania, he went to Kenya. He did vanish, and then a week later, no one knew where he was. And in 2021, around May, it was found that he passed away from the heart attack. Uh, Long story short, that was the third president who refused. He was the one who lasted the longest. There was two other presidents who didn't want to participate in COVID program. The one from Burundi and I don't remember one other country, Haiti, I think, Prime Minister of Haiti.
right.
Uh, so they all died from the same cause, which was a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also a very symbolical type of death because once they hit you, once they target your heart, it means they target your whole generation.
Right.
It's like we're sending a signal to the whole tribe, the country.
Right.
And so then the next president came, the country changed, the masks came,
Mm,
the the mandate came. Now that when you come, you have to show the proof whether you have it or you have to quarantine yourself. And I have noticed that this was like the last polygon that refused the global agenda.
right.
And when I do know that we had similar situation in Florida where Florida did go into the lockdown for the first 3 months. I had
Right.
friends,
Yes.
realtors. It's the freest state in the United States,
AIDS. Right.
but they did have to comply. So you see that agenda is
Mm,
actually much bigger than any politicians in the US. Later, they loosened things up, they opened
right.
it up, but the first 3 months, they they had so much power, it seems like, to shut down the whole world, but
Mm-hmm.
Tanzania and Burundi for a little bit.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. I did hear about those African presidents that disappeared and things of that nature. And I think I heard there was like five African presidents that, tried to resist all of the globalist
Yes,
demands.
four that died. Exactly, there is four that died, and one was from Haiti.
Okay.
So the number four, I have a screenshot. I can send it to you. Their names.
Okay.
Very they're very wonderful leaders,
Yes.
and they really were fighting for the people. They were fighting for the freedom. Really, it's the freedom
Yes.
of people to choose whether you want to participate or not. I mean,
Ah.
if somebody wants to go and they live, let's say, in Tanzania, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to go and participate in COVID program, they can
They
fly to the neighboring countries or go
right.
across and get the whatever,
Right.
get the shot and move on with their life. But
Yes.
I mean, now it's all now. I mean, there is no country that doesn't have the shots anymore. There's all the countries are participating, and you can get it anywhere at this
Yeah.
point.
But many are not, and I think from what I understand, many African countries, even though they have it, many are not participating in the madness. They have
Oh, yeah.
much better health because they're not participating in the madness.
Yeah.
Okay, like what I found out this morning, which I shared with you, is this was happen this like today we're recording this on Wednesday. And on Monday, 2 days ago, the Supreme Court of New York State found in favor of the workers, the city workers, New York City workers that were fired, which is close from the last number I looked at, it was over 1,700 city workers.
Mm,
So, not talking about the healthcare workers, because that's a whole different ball game there, but the city workers like the police, the firefighters, the teachers, sanitation workers, the city workers. It was, from what I saw, about 1,700 city workers were fired for not complying with the mandate, and
mhm,
16 of them brought a case against, which was brought to the Supreme Court of New York State. And I love the matter of fact, I printed it out. I can even read some of what the judge ruled. The New York State Supreme Court judge on Monday ruled a group of public New York City employees who were fired after failing to comply with the city mandate. I'm trying not to say certain words on YouTube,
mhm,
requirements, should be reinstated in their position and receive back pay. So that's really, really key. And also, this judge, Ralph, I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, Ralph Judge Parcio, probably saying, I'm probably butchering his last name. Sounds Italian, but okay. He says the mandates, I'm skipping the V word, the V mandates for city employees
mhm,
was not just about safety and public health, it was about compliance. Is this what he said? And he also said that because the V did not really work, there was no justification for
mm,
these mandates. So that's I love that judge, and that's the state Supreme Court. Now I found out 2 hours ago, a little over 2 hours ago now, that the Mayor Adams of New York City, is appealing that ruling. I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I think that the truth. I one time posted this meme about a horse named Truth leaving the
mhm,
barn and the farmer trying to close the door after the horse had already left. So what
mm,
I'm trying to say, the truth is already out there. So I don't
yeah.
know what is going to happen with this appeal, that the mayor is going to try to appeal this. But I'm hoping it stands, and that all these city workers, the firefighters, the teachers, the police, the sanitation workers, every city worker that was fired for not non-complying in New York City. I pray that they get their position back and the back pay that the judge ruled in their favor for Monday. So that is, and that's a big, that other thing is we're talking about censorship. See, that's a big, big, big story. That should have
Mm-hmm.
been front page news, I think, on every newspaper and every nation news show. It should be front page news. You know,
Yes.
freedom fighters, we won in court,
Yes.
in a Supreme Court. That's a high court, a state court. Um, and I'm just, this happened on Monday. I just learned about it today. A friend sent me the article and I read it and I'm like, why can't I find this anywhere other than this one article? So the censorship is they're censoring the truth, and then when something good like this happens in truth freedom realm, it gets buried. You can't. So
Mm-hmm.
people that are just watching CNN and MSNBC and only watch mainstream news, they're not
Yes.
even hearing this story.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it reminds me, we had this timeline when the federal Supreme Court ruled for the mask mandates to be dropped off in transport. You remember that, right? In the flight, on
Right,
flights and transport. It was broadcasted for a day or two and then swept under the rug. So uh, quite a few people didn't even know, like people who were riding public transport in the city,
right,
they only found out later
right.
because the city still has their own guidelines. So when city imposes, any, let's say, more liberal city loves to impose the mandate, they actually, a lot of people don't even pay attention to what's happening on the federal level
Exactly.
because there is no awareness. It's not uh it's not a big of a deal. It's like, oh yeah, we just dropped it. But in reality, that actually shows us that there is a big resistance within the system itself, and they're doing as much as they can. I'll be honest with you. I travel internationally quite a bit. You still have to wear a mask when you even fly, Mexico or like their airlines, or you go Europe or whatnot. Like not all the countries. I
Okay.
mean, some of them are dropping, but Asia, you still have to do it. And so we do really, we do have a lot of freedom here in this country, in the United States, in comparison to
Other
a lot of
places.
other countries. Yeah, we still really the constitutional rights are still being practiced, and they're still operational, even though they want to be abolished by the
The
the politicians.
globalists. They're like
Yeah,
the globalists like darn that constitution. Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah. They want to eradicate something that created a foundation and freedom. Like you will not see. I've read many constitutions, when I lived in Germany, when I lived in Ukraine, and, Canada. There
Mhm.
is no such constitution that talks about freedom. In fact, in Canada, it tells you the soil belongs to the queen. Same thing in
He's
Australia.
dead
It
now.
all, yes, yeah, it all belongs to them. Like, and that's why the globalist plan for 2030, you will own nothing and you'll be happy. Of course, because it is already in constitution of most of these countries.
Okay.
So, and here in the US, when it really warms my heart to see these decisions take place. Also reminds me when the decision to abolish the mask mandate was also appealed. There was an appeal. We all
Hmm.
forgot about that appeal. And
Hmm.
I feel like this appeal that is happening right now, we'll forget about it in no time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't think it. First of all, it was his name, Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams of New York City. I don't think your appeal holds water, and it's not going to go anywhere because, like I
Yeah.
said, the horse named Truth has already left the barn. The truth, people know the truth now, and
Yeah.
it took a while for a lot of people to get the message, but people are waking up in droves. It just warms my heart. So that
Yeah.
was the first piece of news I heard this morning about that Supreme Court a New York Supreme Court ruling, and I was like, time to party, time to party. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I want to say New York is always a target. All these big cities, LA, New York, because the way the world sees the United States is they see it through the lens of New York City,
City.
Washington, D.C.,
Yes.
LA, Chicago,
Yes.
Chicago is madness. Chicago is total craziness from the mayor and how things
Yes.
are run there. And
Yes.
it's one of the cities that I always try to bypass. I never have good sort of connection with what's going on there
Right.
vibrationally.
Right.
But just on a general note, we that awareness, when you have these breakthroughs in such big cities and as New York, you
Yes.
feel like it can grow to the other towns, other cities, other municipalities,
Yes.
and the ruling will be because I feel like this is slowly the narrative is shifting. I feel like I do know they bought a lot of how you say these like the lots of countries have bought into this COVID stuff,
Right.
for years ahead until 2025.
Right.
But I feel like this is really falling apart. I feel
Oh,
like
true.
all of these mandates, I mean, it has not worked the way they wanted it to work. Let's put it this way. It has
That's
not worked
nowhere
out.
near. It is definitely, like you said, in the US, it has nowhere near worked the way they want. But other places, like look, the European Parliament, where
Mm,
they had called that it was supposed to be the head, the CEO of Pfizer, called
mm-hmm,
to, and he didn't show up. He was called
mm-hmm.
to testify at the European Parliament, and he sent some underlink, to do his dirty work.
Yes.
Uh, and he didn't even show up. So it is, and the European. I mean, actually, I know you say it's great that we have the Constitution, and a lot of what they tried to do in the U.S. did not work. But in Europe, there's, you know what, in Europe, there's a lot more of the facts of what actually is happening with
Yes.
the results of these quote unquote jabs, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yeah.
they're actually showing much more here. It's being hidden. All of it
Yes.
is being hidden in the United States. We can't
Yeah.
find any of that data here, but we can
Mm-hmm.
find it in Europe. And Europe is European Union is like, no, actually they're asking. They had paid billions, I think. The European Union had paid billions to Pfizer, and they're asking for that
Yeah.
money back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
Yes, yes, yes.
what's really interesting with Europe, Europe was a lot stricter
Yes.
during the whole 2020 lockdowns, and they really went with CDC guidelines and a lot of these guidelines. Interestingly, you don't hear from people like Fauci anymore as much. I don't even know what he's doing now.
Well,
He
he's
used to
supposed to
be
be
so friendly.
retiring.
Ah, okay.
He's supposed to be retiring. Nice time to retire. Okay.
All right. Maybe, I mean, yeah, probably that will signify the end of that era that
Oh,
we have.
but he needs more than just a nice retirement. I think he deserves a lot more than that. He should be retiring on some beach somewhere. So, and I think all of that, I truly believe justice is coming for these
Mm,
guys. Justice is
mm,
coming. Yes, it is. I am on top of the world because it is. The light has, and I've been saying this for 2.5 years, the light has already won. It's not a question, are we winning? The light has already won, and the light will always win. I don't care what religion you are, what faith you are. I mean, you might be a person might be atheist, so they're like,
mhm.
but anyway, but no matter what religion you are, it is the light,
Yes.
love.
It is.
The light has already won this. The light can never be overcome by darkness. Never.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. yes. It just takes a little light
Yes,
to eliminate the darkness, really.
yes,
And if you look at the white matter, if there is too much light, the darkness just fades away.
exactly.
So, so it's
Yes. And
and and
I'm glad you said
mhm,
that because I stress on my show. I never have called this a spiritual war. I don't use the word war.
mhm,
It's a
mhm,
spiritual chess match and the light has
mhm,
already won. And it's not about the light defeating the darkness. That's not what it's about. It's about the light transforming darkness back to light from which it came. So if we look at the yin yang symbol,
mhm,
that's my perfect symbol of God, all that is. There's no
mhm,
separation. It's all that is. And there's the light in this 3D matrix. There's the yin and the yang. It's the light and the dark. But what it is, the light will eventually transform the darkness back to light. It's not about pushing against it. It's not about fighting against it because the whole and this again has been proven scientifically that
mhm,
when you push against something, you make it stronger. You're
mhm.
good when you're pushing against something, you're giving it your energy. And
Yes.
when you give it your energy, you're making it stronger. So it's not about
Mhm,
pushing against the dark. It's about actually allowing your love and your light to transform the dark. That's what it's about.
mhm. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you, and that's when I a lot of people get so carried away with, okay, he's good, he's bad, especially the people that they know of, whether that's this politician or the head of FEMA camps or
Right.
whatever it is. I feel like when we just send love to all, because they're all souls, we all come from one source, really. Even the person that is responsible for a lot of lives that are not here with us, he still comes from the same source as we do, really. I
Yes.
mean, we come from the space, and when we see the creator even within them, you
Yes.
know, this is giving them unconditional love and allowing them to slowly transform,
Right.
slowly. We see, for example, on the mainstream media, we see what Kanye West, right, is trying to do,
Right.
and just like pushing the war, just really explaining things, and he gets a lot of backlash,
Right.
being called crazy. And this is where I feel like we need to come together more. And I wanted to add, I was listening to the political debates of 1970s
Mm,
on news,
okay.
and oh, it was so balanced. It was so, whether you're a libertarian or a Republican, they were able to talk and not shout over each other. It was so much different at the time, and we seems like we lost those ways. People
Right.
were actually citing Constitution back then,
Yes.
you don't hear that much anymore. So we have to kind of go back to the roots of if spirituality is too complicated, just go back to the roots of the Constitution. Just reread some of the articles from the 70s, 60s. There's a lot of really decent people and just behavior that they yeah, it was just beautiful. That's all I
Yeah.
wanted to say.
No, no, no.
uh,
I love what you just said because that's the whole purpose of this new series that
mhm,
is Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? Because we're not clones of one another. We don't have to agree to have a conversation. And at the end of the conversation, it's not about winner or loser. So it's not a debate, it's not a fight, it's not an argument. It's a conversation. It's a conversation of two people sharing their truth, living their authentic truth and sharing
mhm,
their authentic truth. And it doesn't have to be agreed. It's what I call unity within diversity. That is what
mhm,
we are diverse and we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to, we're all unique. We're all unique aspects of all that is God, the divine. We're all unique and we're supposed to be unique. And we're supposed to be able to share our uniqueness in a loving way And we don't have to agree to say, okay, at the end of the conversation, I don't really agree with that, but I still love you. I
Yeah,
still love and
yeah,
respect you.
yeah.
And I do that all the time. Yes.
Yeah. This is
Yes.
so, this is absolutely so important because even I have friends who participated in marches during lockdowns to protest, and they were fighting for their jobs. But even within those marches, there were a lot of disagreements, whether we march this way or that way, whether we scream this or that. And you can see there is a lot of, on the 3D level, there is a lot of division because March involves fighting for
Yes.
your right.
Yes.
So they did put these people in a fight or flight mode to fight for their freedom. But when you fight, there is disagreement within the structure itself. And
Exactly.
and so this is why I feel like when we gather, the goal is just to spread love no matter what the outcome. We can go here, we can go there, we can go anywhere. We just send them love collectively and just go home.
Exactly. Exactly. So true. Like one of the things that is quoted that Mother Teresa said, she said, I will never go to anti-war rally. I will
Mm-hmm.
only go to a peace rally. See the
Yeah,
difference?
yeah,
See the difference? And
yeah.
I talk about this all the time. You want to focus on peace, not war. And there's so many people that don't understand the distinction between that. But it is a
Mm,
very big, because words have vibration. That's why I don't use the word war. I
yeah.
use the word peace and love and harmony
Mm,
and unity within diversity, meaning we're not supposed to agree on everything, but I can still love you and respect you regardless if I agree with you. That's so important for humanity to raise to that level. And it's happening slowly but surely. We always want things to go quicker. But in this dimension that we're in the 3D dimension,
mhm,
things
mhm.
moves a little bit slower, but things are speeding up exponentially. I mean, things are speeding up, but yes, we definitely are getting there. We're getting there as a collective,
Yeah.
and it only takes a little bit of light. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be all 8 billion people at that light for there to be light. It only takes a little bit of light to transform the entire planet into
Yeah.
heaven on earth, and we are getting there. That is so. It's like it's amazing. I am on top of the world, especially with that New York court decision. On top of the world. As a matter of fact, after we finish this recording, I'm going to record a video just about that.
Oh, wonderful,
uh,
wonderful, wonderful. We're
yes,
breaking through, and it's beautiful to see breakthrough within the system itself.
yes,
Finally, the system is slowly it's shifting. It's shifting because the vibration is getting higher.
yes,
And when you were saying about the war, I just want to say something that
sure,
the vibration does even accelerate somehow even in countries where there is a war. For example,
yes.
in Russia right now, the word war is not allowed to be used. It's actually censored
Really?
from within. They call it special operation. They don't
Ah,
call it a war. Yes, so they will censor anything that says the word war. They say we're just doing special operations. So
right.
even this is how I feel. Even no matter how negative situation is or the whole thing, there is some light within that system that
Yes,
tells them to do it in a certain way or call it a certain way.
yes,
Because even in the darkest people, as we see them being dark, there
yes,
is still light in them.
yes,
And
yes.
that's our goal, is to see the light even in the darkest human beings as we project them to be.
Yeah, because in truth, what my show is all about is that we are all one and we
Yeah.
all play those roles. This is
Mhm.
just a play. Like Shakespeare said, all of the world is a stage and all of the people on it are just actors. This is just a play. This is a dream of our own creation. And
Mhm.
and life is eternal. There's no end to life. And we choose before we come into a life experience. We choose, okay, I think I'll play the bad guy this time. We choose that. And for whatever reasons, we might, I will, maybe we played the good guy the last time, and now it's like time for us to play the bad guy. It's just a role. That's why there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. You know that that person is God playing a role.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
You're laughing.
it brings to the point of when you are striving to be on the good side, and there are situations where you can be a bad guy. You're like looking at yourself and you think like, okay, I've been there and done that.
Yes.
Been there, done that. I don't want to do this again because I don't want to get stuck in this cycle.
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's all about waking up in the dream. This is a dream of our
Mhm.
creation. And when we wake up, that's to me what awakening. There's two types of awakening. I first, thankfully, I awoken, I awakened to who I truly am as a sovereign divine being of light at all that is. I am God in a
Mm,
drop. Like Rumi said, you're not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. I am the universe in a drop,
mm,
creating this
mm,
reality that we call life. And that's what we all are doing. So my first awakening to who I truly was, it was 2007. And then I had my awakening to the globalist in 2012. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going
mm.
on. And so when all this started happening in early 2020, I'm like, okay, dokie, what are they up to this time? That's all I like. Okay, really? Okay, that's why I'm not wearing a mask. Okay, because I knew,
Mhm.
and I said that in April of 2020. I said that to my neighbors. That was like, well, what's the big deal of wearing a mask? I was like, okay, because I said this in April of 2020, and I'm not psychic. Okay, the first thing they're going to do is mandate the mask. Next thing they're going to be mandating is a shot. I said that in April of
Mhm.
2020. And my neighbor's like, oh, no,
Mm.
you're crazy. You're crazy. Who's crazy now? Okay. Who's crazy now? Okay.
I remember that, right? You remember the time when they had the race for the shot? Who's gonna be first? Who's gonna be
Yes.
the first company to
Yes.
deliver the
Yes.
best shots that are valuable for our humans?
Survival. Yes. Yes. It's crazy. So it's this has been wonderful. Please, Ali, please tell our listeners how they can follow you, and all of the things that's coming up for you in the future.
Well, I'm mostly working on my website, which
Okay.
is I will probably link it down below, olekiroshi.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Telegram. More. I have following of close friends, and a lot of people in Africa do use Telegram because it's more protected,
Yes.
more encrypted than most others. So
Right.
I'm there quite a bit. And
Okay.
Facebook. I have not reopened Instagram since 2020.
Since they kicked you
And
off, you're like, I'm
yes,
done with
and I
Instagram. The weirdest thing,
yes.
Instagram, I mean, everything I post the same thing on all my social media. Instagram has never bothered me, and Twitter has never
Mhm.
bothered me, which I find odd. I only get flack from YouTube and Facebook. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know.
Um,
I find that so odd. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't complain. They're not bothering me. I should just don't complain.
Yes,
But
yes. With Instagram, I'll add with Instagram, it has a lot more to do with people flagging you than the Instagram itself.
okay.
Uh, so the fact checkers is there is an algorithm, but it's people who say no. If like two, three folks will say no, this is a false flag, or it's not
I
right,
get you. I
then
get you. So if
then they
people were
then
reporting me, if people were
yes.
reporting me, then they would get on me. Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad. I guess I'm shadow banned, so not enough people see me to report me. That's a good thing. Yes, it's like
High
that's all I
five.
can think. I'm shadow banned, so not enough people see me to report me, and only the people that actually are following me get to see me, and they're
Yes.
in alignment with me, so they're not reporting me. So
totally agree. I'm totally in alignment with the statement because it applies to many of freedom fighters.
You just went silent on me. Wait a second. Are you covering up? Yeah, you're covering up your microphone. Okay, so repeat that.
Yeah, I'm saying it's totally in alignment with
You're
what
still
you
kind of
just said.
low. I can't hear you. What's up? What's up with your mic, Mr. Tech guy? No, I'm
Yeah.
teasing you. Okay,
Can you hear me? Can
now
you
I
hear
can
me
hear you.
now?
Now I can hear you. I can
Uh,
hear you now.
there
Okay.
is definitely some interference someplace. But all I wanted to say is that what you just said, the the shadow ban, what happens with the light workers, with the people, freedom fighters. I just say freedom
Yes.
fighters. That's the
Yes.
word I love to use.
Mm-hmm.
If a lot of us are on the same page as
Yes.
you are. So
Yes.
once you're shadow banned, we are all kind of in the same
Same
bowl,
box.
you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, they put us in the same box, and
Yes.
we have to amplify that box by sharing it from
Yes.
our box to the other
Other
boxes. So
boxes.
the shadow band box will grow
Yes.
with our effort.
Yes. 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 Well, very, very good. Well, I hope I'm out. Like this will air on Friday. And I'm hoping I should be out of Facebook jail. I don't think I'll be able to share it to my groups. I can at least share it
Mhm.
to my Facebook page. But you're not in Facebook jail, so you can share it. Where I can't
Yes,
share it, you can share it. Yes.
yes.
Well, this is wonderful. Thank you so much, Ali. And I'm so glad we met and we got connected. Now, were you at the IANS conference in September?
No.
No, okay. Because I would have loved to meet you in person, but we will. We'll definitely meet in person at some point.
Where will that be?
Well, are you IANS next year? I know it's East Coast. It's in
Okay.
Virginia. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll see if it aligns.
Well,
I'll
yes.
make my effort to be there, but so far, no, but we'll see. It's
Oh, we'll
I
play
never
it.
know where I end up.
That's a year from now. We'll play it by ear. But we know we will
Yeah.
still see each other at least once a month at Hawaiian Irons.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
absolutely.
yes, yes. Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you so much for being my guest on Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? I will put your social media links below so people can contact you and say, hey, I saw you. I like you. I like what you're doing. I like what you're sharing with the world. I love your message.
Likewise. I'll put you on my media, and I want people to know what you do, and I feel that your message will resonate with people.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And same to you. We're of like mind and like heart and like soul. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
yes,
bye for now. I know you're on the West Coast. It's a lot earlier there. It's kind of trying to get dark. It's cloudy here and it looks like it's about to get dark. But thank you so much. Love you so much. We'll keep in touch, okay? All
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Bye for
Bye
now.
bye.